Hello, my name's Kathleen. I'm one of the spirit operators, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at negative spirits. I'm basing this on my experiences, so if you have had interactions, you may have experienced something different. So the kind of like categories, hierarchy sort of thing. Anyway, the first, or the lowest ranked, from what I can tell, from what I've gathered with my experience, they're slaves. I tend to call them minions. They usually appear dark, shadowy. They they don't, like, for me, they don't tend to have like a specific outline, or they don't have a specific look. They just sort of appear as a dark entity. So they will attach themselves to people or places or objects. They are difficult to get rid of. So I have been in homes that are regularly smudged and have encountered these things. This is because they are terrified of their enslavers. Whoever is in control of them, they're terrified of being punished, of being tortured if they don't do as they're told. So if you get one in your house, or a place work, wherever, or they're attached to an object or a person, they'll be stuck like glue. They're really difficult to remove. However, my experience with them is they are very eager to ascend. They want out because they're slaves and they get tortured and punished, and they just live in fear. Like, the only emotion I ever really get from them is absolute terror and fear. I don't get any anger. I don't get that they're out to harm, but they will if they're told to. So I tend to call them minions. They're slaves. And so they are really eager when I offer to help them to ascend. I let them know, like, they will be free of their enslaver, whoever is in control of them. They won't get punished. They can be free. As soon as they hear that they can be free of their situation, they are like super eager to get me out of here. What do I have to do? I'm doing it. And so they usually will leave really quickly when I offer to help them that way. So just some experiences that I've had, like, spirits tend to hide. When I come to a place to try to clear up a haunting, they tend to hide because they don't know what my purpose is, why I'm there, but I assume they can pick up on my energy, so they kind of they tend to hide in corners and stuff. There is one home I had been to quite a few times, actually, and I know when I first went, the place seemed very dark. But the front entrance, I thought it was dark wood. I thought the whole entrance, all the walls, the floors, it was all dark wood. It was just always very dark whenever I came to this home. And then things started happening, so they asked me to come and see if I could clear away any entities, spirits, ghosts, whatever you want to call them, from the home. And when I did that, I discovered there was one who was hiding in the front entranceway of their home. And because they have been smudging and trying to clear this energy, and so it was, I don't know if it was trapped there or just hiding there. Anyway, I did manage to clear it because it was a slave minion type. And so he was very eager to go. He, she, it was very eager to leave. And once they left, I was stunned because the entranceway was actually just normal walls painted in a very light color. Like, it completely changed how it appeared to me. And so I had not realized that the whole time I had been influenced by whatever dark entity was in that entranceway. I had no idea. I was like completely like thrown back. Like it totally changed. So, but again, like for most people, they would just see the normal entranceway. And so that's just one of my experiences with minion types or the slaves. Another type that I have done videos previously on different types of spirits and how to protect yourself and what to sort of avoid so that you don't attract them. Sorry. So there's one type I hadn't mentioned before because I had only really encountered it once, but now I've encountered it twice. So I am now giving them their own category. And I'm calling them either trappers or captors. And this is a more powerful entity, seems to be more powerful than what I would class as a minion. They actually trap or capture other spirits and hold them, trap them in a place, and keep them there and keep control over them. So this has happened to me a couple of times now. And when I am interacting with them, they tend to be very angry. Like the first one was like laughing at me as I was trying to clear the place. Just was, again, just trying to get negative reaction out of me, trying to get me to, I guess, give up what I was doing. Anyway, eventually I found where they had trapped all these other spirits. And when I started to explain how they could ascend, the spirits they had trapped, whoosh, 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 so fast, just gone. And I found that with the second and third captor incidents that I've encountered, that the other ghosts or spirits that they have trapped with them in the place will take off really fast because they want out, and so they're able to do that. Now these entities themselves, the trappers, they're a little more difficult to get to ascend. They tend to believe that they can't ascend, that they are too negative, so they're stuck where they are. They get very upset because they don't want to leave. They get upset because I'm releasing all the spirits they've captured. But it just takes some time for me to talk with them and let them know, no, you can do this too. It will work for you. You just have to have like a mind of compassion. That's what it is that they need to get. And I have helped them. They have ascended. They have different appearances. One had like a wolf or a dog like appearance. Another one, honestly, was like a cross between a gray alien and the character Venom. Had the smile and all that sharp pointy teeth like Venom, but had gray skin and dark, big, black, almond-shaped eyes. I guess they take on different appearances. I don't know if it was to try to upset me, or that's just the appearance they always have. Anyway, that's just a couple of them. So they take on these different appearances again to instill fear in us, because they all live on our negative emotions. Okay, so another type that I have encountered are shadow people. And these appear like a shadow of a person. They move, I've seen them many times, different places, outside, inside. And what I have sort of understood or have been told is that they have a job. They all sort of have jobs. They do get attached to usually a human individual. And what they're looking for, who they get attached to, are people with addiction problems, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, also to criminal types, thieves, anyone who is engaging in very negative criminal activity. These entities will then stalk their chosen victim, their person, and they will cling to them, hang on to them. Their whole point is to make everything worse for their victim. They will do whatever it takes so that the person becomes even more dependent on drugs, more needy, increases, makes their addictions worse, drugs, alcohol, whatever the addiction is. Also, they will get them to do more crime, and they will stay with that person. They're just waiting until that person dies. For them, it seems like a very short period of time. And once that person dies, they pull them down. And it's my understanding that the person that has passed away, that has died, then becomes the shadow person's slave. So they would be like the first type I discussed, the minions or slaves. I don't know if that happens to all of the ones that these shadow people get a hold of, but that is what I've been told is happening. I have not actually tried to see if the shadow person would want to ascend. I don't know why. It's something that has occurred to me the last few months. I haven't really interacted with one. Need to clear one away. If I see them, they're usually zipping by. They don't stick around. Anyway, so I haven't actually. It didn't occur to me whenever I'm interacting with them to see if they want to ascend. The reason being, like so far, is like they have a job to do, and usually we form a truce. You leave me alone, I'll leave you alone, sort of attitude. So I'll go into some detail. There was a woman who lived across the hall from me. She had one of these. Sort of every time I went out into the hallway, up and down the hallway, this thing would follow me, see what I was up to. And so I sort of said, do me a favor and you stay out of my unit where I live. You leave me and my pet alone, and I'll leave you alone. You have a job to do. Now, the reason that I didn't do anything at that time was because the woman that lived there had issues with drugs and alcohol, and I do believe was engaged in criminal activity. So even if they had asked me if she had, I hadn't told her that the shadow person was on her, there's not much point. Besides, people tend to think you're crazy. But if she had noticed it and, had wanted help, there's nothing I can do. Absolutely nothing I can do. Okay, so maybe I could get the shadow person to leave. Maybe I could have helped to see if the shadow person wanted to ascend. But it'll be back. If it ascends, it won't be back, but it will be replaced because she was not going to change her behaviors. And I would just be wasting my time and energy trying to remove anything from someone who is that sort of enwrapped in their addictions and their behaviors that they have no desire to change what they're doing. I can't, like, it would just be a temporary solution, and it would just be a waste of my time and energy. Again, I had not tried to help the shadow person ascend, so I know that in the future, if I encounter this again, that is something I will offer to do for them. But the attitude, like I said, like they're very strong, and they're like, leave me alone and I will leave you alone, and we just won't interact. And so I've just kind of, yep, that's good, we're on the same, okay, good, right? And I have left it at that. So in the future, I will try to see if they would like to ascend. However, they'll just be replaced by another one. So yeah, that can be a bit of a waste of time. Okay, so there's also tricksters. That's another type of negative spirit that I've interacted with. They change how they look. I mean, I had one that was just changing their appearance right in front of me. Went from looking one way, tried to look like a helpless old lady, tried to look like a little kid. I don't know if, what they were playing at. Like, the energy didn't change. I could still feel that I'm dealing with the exact same entity, but they're tricksters, and so they're gonna try whatever they can. They like to create chaos, mischief. They like to play with the humans in the place they're at, not necessarily in a good way. They might, because they're tricksters. Their energy just kind of feels like it's up and down. Like, sometimes they'll be nice and sometimes they'll be mean. Whatever they want to do. They are a challenge for me to try to help to ascend. I think they're not interested at first because they kind of enjoy being a trickster and doing whatever they're doing. But as far as I know, I have helped them. But like I said, they're so changeable. I honestly couldn't say that I have 100% helped them ascend. But from what I was witnessing and experiencing, I do believe that they did. And so that brings us sort of to the last type that I would categorize, and that would be the demons. Now, for me, they tend to appear as hooded, robed figures, very dark. They usually get upset when I'm around because, like I said before, like, all the negative spirits feed off of the negative emotions they can get out of us. And so when I show up, the demon's there, and they get upset because, first of all, they think they're scaring me because they're a demon. And they get upset because I don't behave scared and I don't get angry with them, because that would just feed them. Getting angry at any of these negative spirits, trying to force them to leave your home, getting mad, just makes them more powerful. Especially demons, they just feed off of those emotions. So they tend to get, upset that they can't get those negative emotions out of me. And then they're kind of like, what? When I offer to help them ascend, and they're just like, ugh. And they get totally disgusted with me that I'm actually having compassion for them. because of all the negative karma they're creating for themselves. So they kind of get really upset. And they leave. I have only ever helped one to ascend. Most of the time, they just leave because there's no point. They're not going to get what they want from me. But the one, he was kind of like, oh yeah, as a challenge, testing me out. Sure, yeah, I'll try that. And the look of shock on their face, or his face, when he actually started to ascend, because he had done what I had recommended and have a mind of compassion, was completely in shock. But up he went. So they can also ascend, and give them a chance, because, you know, all of these beings live in ignorance. They don't realize the negative karma they're creating for themselves. They're just doing what they're doing because that's what they are. But, you know, they have every right to ascend if they can. All they have to do is develop a mind of compassion. The spirits on this level tend to be so self-absorbed, they don't even think about helping anybody else. They're just trying to help themselves, get more power for themselves, or, you know, if they're a slave, do what they're told because they don't want to get tortured, right? So they're trying to help themselves, protect themselves, and they don't even think about, you know, the harm that they're causing others. So to get them to switch their mind, to flip it over like a coin and get a mind of compassion, that's all it takes. And they can ascend because they are on a lower realm than we are. Okay, so yeah, it's totally possible to help them to ascend. Now, like I said, there's only one demon that's actually done this, and he was a complete shock. The rest of them just tend to leave because they're not interested. Because I think this is from my side. I'm assuming, I could be completely wrong, but I think they're so stuck on their own power and the power they have as demons and what they can do, and how they can, you know, create negative emotions to get people, like, they just sort of, you know, they feed off of it, but also they're kind of addicted to that, I think. So that they have no interest in leaving. So if you're having any negative haunting experiences where you are, home, work, wherever, vehicle, whatever, try to keep in mind that it's the negative things that they're feeding off of, and they are going to do whatever they can to make it worse. So if you're afraid, they're going to make noises and whatever, escalate things so that they get more and more fear out of you so that they can eat that. They'll also try to get you angry and do things that will make you upset. So they're always going to try to increase the amount of negative energy that you're giving off, the negative emotions that you have. And so that's something you have to be careful of. So you need to try to fill your home with laughter, with fun, with happiness and love. So, you know, if you're hearing noises that are scaring you, put a comedy movie on or a comedy show and start laughing. Okay? Just whatever it takes, music that makes you happy, just always try to tune in to something that's going to make you laugh, make you happy, and keep your mood up. Because if they can't get what they want out of you, they will leave. Okay? So that's the biggest recommendation that I can make to help you sort of get rid of that. I just know, like, when I go to a haunted place, quite often the spirits are hiding from me. Like I mentioned before, they'll be in corners or up in the attic or down in the basement. They tend to try to hide because they don't know that I'm there to help them. And if you've watched some programs out there where they're ghost hunters or whatever, they tend to do the wrong things. So, yeah. So the spirits don't know what's going on, but you're usually relieved that I'm there to try to help them. Although not always, but I never really force anything out unless it's absolutely not going to leave, and it's absolutely not going to try to ascend. Although, to be honest, I haven't run into that. The first capture trapper type, he was a bit of a problem, but I managed to let him know, look, either you ascend or you go. those are the two choices we have here. You can't stay. You can't keep doing what you're doing. And eventually, it took a while, but eventually I talked him into ascending. So, yeah, they can all ascend. It just takes that mind of compassion. And as far as I know, all the places that I have cleared, there has been no more issues in those places. But whether or not the people there have changed their behavior, I don't know. I would hope that they're more happy. But you can move into a place that already is haunted from previous owners, and then, if you're sensitive enough, you might be picking up on it. So it's not necessarily your fault that they're there. However, they will try to instigate negative emotions out of you, and try to feed off of those. Okay, I think that's it. I hope I covered everything. And if you have any questions or anything, just let me know in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've learned something, or at least were slightly entertained. And hopefully we'll see you later. Thanks. Bye.